My name is Adrian, and I am a location director over at VOO Church. And I've been on staff now it's been just a little bit over a year. Michelle is my beautiful wife. Come on, put your hands together for Michelle Molina. Michelle, I love you. Michelle, she's a brand new mom, by the way. 5 months. We had our first baby boy. His name's Maddox Monroe Molina. I think I'm trying to prophesy that he's going to be the 53rd president of the United States. I don't know if that's I don't even know what number we're at now. So mathematically, I don't know if that adds up. He'll be 17. But yeah, Michelle and I have been part of the VOO story from the very beginning. And we actually gave our lives to Christ at Rendezvous, which is where VOO Church is birthed out of, a Tuesday night young adults ministry. And we joined the welcome team, then the growth track team. But the crew world, the small groups world, has been something that really impacted us from the very beginning. So we jumped on board with that too. So now it's really awesome that we get to serve in that capacity. And Michelle serves in that capacity at kind of like a pretty high level. She is a crew captain on there. So I don't know if you want to explain a little bit about what being a crew captain is all about.
Yeah, so basically, Kyle over here, Kyle Graham, he's our crew director. He does an incredible job. So my role as crew captain is basically just to support him in his role with us as much as he might need. And underneath crew captains, we've got crew coaches. And then under our crew coaches, we've got crew leaders. So we've kind of set up like this system of levels so that people can just be held accountable and know who to reach out to when things are necessary. So that's my role.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel supported and have different layers of people really, like Michelle said, holding them accountable, but accountable in the sense of making sure that they have somebody to count on. And the most important man here, Mr. Kyle Graham, our crew director. Come on, put your hands together for him.
I got to give a shout out to my wife. She's the beautiful one sitting right there. Really, crews run because of her, not because of me.
Yeah, I love it. So Kyle, he's our crew director. And at VOO Church, we always say that we are not a church with small groups. We're a church made up of small groups. So for us, the whole vision behind what we do at church is really focused on 2 things. Like Sunday attendance, that's awesome. And you know, Sundays spike and they come down. And we're always looking at that for sure. But what we care about most is people in small group and people on team. Because if you're invested in something, then really that's where the impact in your life starts to happen. So we're always trying to push people to small groups, always trying to push people to join team and encourage them the different ways of doing that. So crew has been part of the VOO Church narrative from the very beginning. We actually launched VOO Crews, which is what our word for small group. So if you're wondering what crew is, it's our word for small group. But we launched VOO Crews before we even launched Sunday services. So Kyle was kind of there from the very beginning. So maybe you could kind of just talk to us a little bit about that journey, how we started, and then really what crew is and what it means to us.
Yeah, just like Adrian said, crew is a really, really big part of our church, a huge part of our story. And we launched crews probably a year before we launched Sunday services. And part of the big reason for that is because we always say that church is not a place, it's a people. And so we were always trying to make sure people understood this. Like, I don't have to go to church on Sunday to be the church. I can go and do it Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday morning, and be the church with the 8 different people, the 12, the 15 different people that I'm in crew with. So our very first week, it's kind of cool to look back and just, see where we came from. Thank God, for what he's done. But we launched 4 crews that the very first week. And I remember we had 37 people in it, and we were so pumped about that. We were excited about that. In every season, and we'll kind of talk about that in a minute, but we continue to add more and more leaders, more and more crews. And so currently we have 139 crews, and we see probably well over 1,500 people in small groups each week. And so it's really, really cool to see where we came from. And then it's also really fun to see where we're going. But the reason, or another big reason why crew is so important is it's because it's a place where we develop culture. And so at VOO, we always say culture happens by design and not default. Yeah. And so we are very, very intentional about the culture, language, things that we're saying. And so as we pick crew leaders, these are all things that we're looking at because we want to develop the right culture within our church, within our small groups. And so there's a handful of ways that we do that. We'll probably touch on it in a minute, but that essentials booklet that's in front of you, that is all culture for us. Some of the things that are in there are good cultural statements, bad cultural statements. So these are things that like we want our crew leaders to be saying, things that we don't want them to be saying. We don't want them to be saying like, man, I have to be here. We want them to, say things like, I get to be here. We have another thing called the Culture Guide. And again, that's another booklet of cultural statements, things that we believe in, things that we profess here at VOO. But our each crew night is structured, and again, all of this is by design. Nobody can just do whatever. It's all structured, and I think Michelle's going to talk about that in a little bit. But really, the goal is to develop healthy culture, healthy relationships within crews.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michelle kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, but within the crew world, we kind of figured really quickly that we needed to systemize the way that we did things, because if we didn't, then it was kind of going to get out of our reach. So within the crew department, although we only have really one staff member that oversees it, which would be Kyle, he's got an entire army of people that are supporting him, an entire servant leader base that's really supporting him. And those are our different layers. So Michelle was talking about how there's crew leaders. So crew leaders would be a pairing of people. So co-ed crews is one of the avenues that we have. So a man and a woman leading together. We have gender-specific crews, so men leading together, women leading together. We have VOO High crews, which are for our youth, our high school students and our junior high students. And then we have college crews, so crews that we do here on UM and do at FIU. But above our crew leaders, we would have what we call crew coaches. So crew coaches are people that oversee probably 4 to 6 different crews in a season. And I'll define what I mean in a second just by season, but these crew coaches are crew leaders in and of themselves who have graduated into this next level because they've had a successful crew for such a long time. So now their role is not only to steward the people that are within their crew, but they've kind of got another small crew to take care of, which is all the different crew leaders that are in underneath their leadership. So they would support them from a pastoral component. They would support them from material, from resourcing. If somebody's having a difficult time gathering people and having a difficult time leading discussion, they would actually go and coach and mentor and sit in the crew and help them lead discussion and help them flow through the different night of what crew looks like, which we'll talk about. And then above crew coaches, we would have our crew captains, which is what Michelle was talking about. So crew captains, we have about 4 of them every season, give or take. And these crew captains are like Kyle's department. They're like Kyle's staff. So crew's really cool in the sense that it's built kind of a structure in and of its own, like its own organization. It's got an admin function to it. It's got a recruitment function. It's got a resource and development function to it. And then it's got kind of like this pastoral care function. So when I say function, it's actually teams of people made up of different crew leaders that fit within these 4 different buckets. And the captain's job is to help oversee these 4 different buckets along with Kyle. So when a new season is coming and we need to ramp up and launch some new crews, Kyle is leaning on his captains to work within the recruitment bucket and the admin bucket to look at people that we've been resourcing, people that we've been developing, people that we want to bring up on the journey as crew leaders, or if in the middle of the season we're noticing that there's specific trends, like for example, right now in VOO Church, what we're noticing is that the biggest demographic that attends a VOO crew would be single women from the ages of 25 to about 33. So what that tells us is that we have an opportunity there by having that data, by capturing that data. We have an opportunity to launch more just female-based crews, but also we use VOO Girl now as a platform to push more women into crew, because who's going to VOO Girl? Single women between those age groups, all women, of course, but that's the majority of people that are going. So we're trying to capture as much data as possible within the small group world to help us make more intelligent decisions in the different avenues of our church, different aspects of our church. But we also have we have a seasonal model. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we do crew every other week. And so seasons are defined as 3 months. So January, February, March, we would call an in-season. April would be our off month. May, June, July, in-season, off month. August, September, October, November, in-season. December, off month. Really, the reason we do that is it gives crew leaders the opportunity to rest. And so on that off month, we have no crews. Our crew leaders get to rest. It gives us an opportunity to evaluate, for crew leaders, it's cool because they can say, I'm signing up for a season. If for whatever reason I can't do it the next season, they know that the off month is that time where they can say, hey, I can't lead next season. And then that gives us a chance to, to figure out in this third area is launch new crews and to fill in spaces where crew leaders, may just have to step out for a season. And so some of the things that we do on the off month, we have this thing called Coaches Huddle. That's an opportunity for all of our crew coaches, all of our crew captains to really come together, to really rally and get ready for for that upcoming season. It gives us an opportunity to digest some good information. It gives us an opportunity to really have a leadership development moment, and it gives us an opportunity to really celebrate what all God's going to do in the upcoming season.
Yeah, absolutely. And that seasonal model, it's just not specific to the crew world. That seasonal model applies to our church in general. So for us seasons, we have 3 a year: January, February, March, and then an off month in April. Then we have May, June, July, an off month in August, and then September, October, November, an off month in December. So in the off month, we're still gathering on Sundays and we're still doing church, but basically our midweek programming stops. And the whole point of that is, like Kyle said, to create rest, but also to evaluate and then talk about what we want to launch in the next season. So that's what we would do in the crew world. But in addition just to the structure, Michelle, and in addition to our seasonal model, we're also pretty intentional about trying to resource our crew leaders as much as possible. So why don't you talk to us about different ways we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So during our off month, what we do is we gather all the new crew leaders that are going to be stepping out to lead their own crews within the next season. And we do something that we call crew coaching. And it's really exactly what it sounds. So we bring them together, and it's pretty much like an in-depth training, a play-by-play of what's expected in crew. We talk about everything from CCB, which is our church database, and how to send out invites, how to work through process queues, how to take attendance for the night. And we also go through the flow of a crew night, what that should look like, what kinds of conversations we should be having. And it's really, like Kyle said, we're just taking that moment to just get excited for the season to come. We're building culture. We're big on culture. We're big on making sure that everyone is gotten around the same language that we're using in our crews. And so that's crew coaching. And again, that's during the off season. But then something else that we do, which is relatively new for us as a church, is something that we're calling right now Coaching 2.0. And I love this because we're not just equipping our leaders right before the season starts or right at the end of the season. We're equipping them in the middle. So we're having conversations about, let's say, a more in-depth training on a CCB, our database. It takes a few of us some time to really get a hold of that. Some people have that spiritual gift of administration. So, not all of us do. Right. So that's an example of something that we might step into for Coaching 2.0. Or maybe we just want to have a real conversation on how to handle the tough conversations that come up in crews, or how to make sure that your discussions don't veer off topic and how to revert them back to what it is that we're talking to. So it's just another opportunity that we get to really just speak into the heart of our leaders, equip them, and empower them for the rest of the season. And then the last thing that we do, which is probably one of my favorites, and we call this crew catch-up. And actually for the last couple seasons, we've done it like in some of the biggest nightclubs in Miami, which is like so radical that like we're stepping into those spaces. And really what we do is we celebrate all the wins of the season. So here at VOUS Church, we say that we honor up, we honor down, we honor all around. So we never want to miss an opportunity to step into a space and honor our crew leaders. So our crew leaders are invited to that event. Our co-leaders are invited, and really it's an opportunity to just celebrate everything that God has done. We give out awards. We wish we could give out awards to everyone, but we give awards like our Fast Starter Award, and that's really for like the new crew leaders who've just stepped into a space and they've owned it. They've got tons of people coming out to their crew. They send their attendance in on time. They're constantly reaching out to people. They're persistent about inviting people to crew. We've given an award out like the Turn Up Crew Award, and that's awesome. So that goes out to a crew that's just got like their own mini church happening on a crew night. Like you'll see like 30 and 40 people showing up. So we love that. And we also really get an opportunity to share some powerful stories that have come through about what God has done in people's lives and how people's lives have been changed. So those are pretty much the three things that we we hold, at least to equip our leaders throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that crew coaching, it happened at the beginning of the season. The people that are expected to attend that would be brand new crew leaders. So if it's your first time leading a crew, you would get invited to crew coaching, and it's about an hour blocked out on a Sunday where we would bring in food and we'd do some training. Coaching 2.0, like Michelle said, is brand new to us. And honestly, it's something that we're just trying to figure out. What we realize is, like, with our servant leader base, so servant leader is what we say for volunteer. With our servant leader base, we resource them a lot. We have team nights every season. We have team leader meetings. We have a team conference. We have a lot of different ways that we're resourcing them, but we aren't actually resourcing our small group leaders nearly enough. So 2.0 is our effort of doing that. So there's so much awesome content that we're getting from Pastor Rich, from Pastor John Cherie, and just different resources, even on staff, our staff meetings and leadership content that's shared, that now we can package and we can provide to our crew leaders on Sundays. So that's really our idea behind 2.0. And then, like Michelle said, Catch Up is really a fun event to come and celebrate. So it's not so much an event for you to come and get trained, but just to honor the crew leaders in the house, to say, hey, you are the church. You're the hands and feet. You're the ones that are doing the work out in the city. You are the ones that are changing this city. And it's a moment to celebrate them, to honor them. And there is a teaching in it. There is a preaching moment to it. There's a worship moment to it for sure. But really, that's the heartbeat behind it. It's to celebrate them and honor them. And Michelle said something. She said the word co-leaders. So within our crew world, we have these things that we call building blocks. And it's in here, so you could find it in a little bit. But what are our 6 building blocks within a crew, and why did we decide to go that route?
Yeah, we're always trying to help our crew leaders, and we wanted to create a system where they could look at that'd be easy for them to just say, hey, this is the way that I can build a team around me. One of the things that I believe so much is that if you're going to do a job, try to get as many people as you can to do it with you. And so crew is no exception to that. So we call these the 6 building blocks. I personally believe that the crews that do really, really well have these 6 building blocks. The ones that struggle a little bit tend to not have them. And whenever people call and say, hey, what is one thing in crew that you really, really value, something that you've learned? I always say the 6 building blocks were a game changer for us. And so every crew leader by default has 2 leaders. So that'd be like me and my wife leading our crew on Thursday nights. And then we tell all of our crew leaders, hey, get 2 co-leaders. These are the people that you're training up. These are the people that you're helping run the night. And ideally, these are the ones that are going to be leading crew, hopefully the next season, if not the next, the one after that. And so that's 4 right there, if you can get the 2 co-leaders. And then we wanted somebody to be the cultivator. This person is the one that is bringing the icebreaker. This is the person that's outgoing, because if crew becomes a little stale at some points, the cultivator is the one that brings it back. They're the one that has that outgoing personality. They're finding stories of real life change within their crew. And so, so you have the 2 leaders, you have 2 co-leaders, you have the cultivator, but we also have the calculator. We don't like to call them the admin, so we call them the calculator. And this person is the one that's doing the attendance. They're submitting the crew report at the end of the night. They're the ones that are writing down the praise reports and the prayer requests. Every single crew, we open up the floor to, to praise God for different things, to pray for different things. So they're doing all that. And they're also getting all the new people's information. First names, last names, phones, emails, address, just so we can, follow up with them, making sure that we're sending invites to them and stewarding those people, the way that we're supposed to. And so I always tell our crew leaders, if you have the 6 building blocks, ideally you'll have more than 6 at a crew. But if you don't have 6 building blocks, then it's going to be kind of a struggle throughout the crew season to get people to your crew. So again, for us, it's all about rallying and getting a team around you to help, again, develop leaders. And then, with the intent that they're going to lead crew the following season.
Yeah, exactly. So the heart behind it is to start in strength. The heart behind it is to rally a group around you so that you feel supported. All of us have probably at some point been to a small group or maybe even led a small group. And it's pretty difficult to lead that discussion. And it could be a little bit awkward to talk about things that might be counterculture. But if you've got people around you that are supporting you, people around you that are buying into it, people around you that are advocating for you, then you feel like you're starting in strength. But it's also a way to make sure that we are developing people for our future crews. So the reason that we were able to go from 4 to 139 in just a short amount of time are because of those building blocks. Because every season, if I've got 5 people or 4 people underneath me in my crew, and I'm intentionally pouring into them and having them lead the discussion along with me, or having them do the icebreaker, or having them lead any component, any moment of the crew, it's preparing them for the next season. So maybe after they've done that a couple seasons, they're ready to step out and lead their own crew. We also decided to do crew in public spaces. So maybe talk a little bit about why we decided to do that.
Yeah, I think for us, on like I guess a leadership level, it gives us the ability to have a little bit of quality control. So that's, I don't know, so that's one of the reasons. But I think an even more exciting reason is it gives us the ability to really be a light in a place that maybe doesn't see light very often. And so all of our crews meet in coffee shops, they meet in restaurants, they meet in different places that have food. We're really big on having a party with food. So currently none of our crews are meeting in homes. We may get to a point where we do them in homes, but right now the model that we're running with has been working. And so we don't want to shift and lose momentum on that. But that's really the big reason why we do crews in public spaces.
Yeah, and we're open to it for sure. We've had, our church demographic is changing, right? So Michelle and I a year ago were just recently married, but now we're recently married and have a baby. So in a couple years, we're going to want to have a crew that's conducive to that, right? So right now, Michelle and I meet kind of like at a bar. So it's a little bit difficult to bring our 5-month-old along with us there. So as the demographic of our church is going to change, then we're going to make sure that we pivot along with that. So we've had plenty of conversations about having crews in homes. We're just trying to figure out what the healthiest model of that looks like for us where we are right now. And then the last thing that we can go through is an epic crew night. So at your table, you have this little sheet that kind of runs through our flow. But Michelle, maybe you could guide us through what a crew night looks like.
Yeah, I'm excited that you guys are able to take this home with you, just because I know it's helped Adrian and I out tremendously when we're leading our crews. It's helped the people that we've got in as our building blocks, just because we can follow this along all season long. But I'll run through it really quickly. But you can see that we start out with arrival and preparation. So we're constantly encouraging our crews to. Well, and so our discussions are based off of a Sunday message, and usually it's the Sunday before. And so what I love about that is that any crew that you step into, so you can attend a consistent Monday night crew, and if you couldn't for some reason, you got to go to a Tuesday morning crew, you know that whatever they talked about Monday night, they're also going to be talking about Tuesday morning. So that's quality control right there. But we always just like to prepare in advance. We don't practice on people, right? So that's super important. We also have this crew kit that we've created, and we give that out to our crew leaders, and that's kind of just got like a little table stand, because in the past we've heard that like people start like waving random people down, and they're like, not sure, like, do I know you? No, but are you coming to crew? So that's awesome. That's part of the crew kit. Then we mingle and eat, and I think that this is such an important part of crew, because before the discussion ever takes place, we've got people walking in who probably never even stepped into church before, which we've seen is usually the higher statistic, that people are coming into crew who've never stepped in a church. So what we do is we encourage our building blocks. We're like, hey, let's really step out. Let's not just continue to connect with people who are our best friends in crew. Let's step out and reach out to those people who are coming to the first time, make them feel welcome, make them feel like they're at home, because they are. And through that, we continue to build our relationships. So that's what the mingling and eating portion is all about. So I love that. It literally breaks it down time by minute by minute. And so, our goal all around as a church is that we've structured our crews by a total of 90 minutes. Yeah. So you've got this here to help you out with that. Next, we would do just a quick welcome. We introduce ourselves. We talk about what is crew. And I was just chatting with Kyle about this, that I love that at every single crew we start that way. And I know it sounds silly because maybe we've got people who have been crew goers from day one, and you're thinking, well, why are you constantly sharing what a crew is with people who already know what a crew is? But what I love about that is that it just builds culture, and it builds language. So next thing you know, those co-leaders that you got who are stepping out and leading their own crews, like they know how to talk to people about crew. They know how to invite people, and it's just really good to build culture around that. So welcome, we talk about when we meet for crews, we honor people who are attending maybe for the first time. Then we step into our icebreaker, and those should take about 15 minutes. Those are always a blast. And we just like to keep them light and fun. We've done things before, like someone's created a little Jeopardy game on their tablet, their iPad, and they'll like click little topics and pass it around the group. And it's like, what's your dream vacation? Or tell me about a childhood memory that you'll never forget. So some awesome little tidbits of icebreakers like that. And then we go into praise reports, just because we always love to be celebrating what God is doing in our lives. And that's special because the crew before, people will be praying for things, and then they'll come back the next crew and they'll have something to share about what God did. And it's really fun to celebrate with people with that. And then on the back side, we go into our crew discussion. So I love there really quickly, we've got a 30-70 rule. So we say that our leaders should really only be talking 30% of the time. And really we encourage everyone else in crew to speak, not that they have to. And if they don't, that's totally fine. Silence is good sometimes. So if there's those moments where it's quiet in a crew, that's all right. Just gets the flow going. And then we do prayer requests. So we basically tell everyone at crew that this is just because we want to get everyone gathered around as a community, as a church, praying for the needs of our house. Our pastors are praying for that. Our leaders are praying for that. We believe in the power of prayer, and we know that nothing is too small for God. So we really take a moment to just take some prayer requests. Our calculator jots those down. We pray, and then we go into announcements. So this is just not to be redundant, not to just share, hey, we've got Growth Track happening, or we've got an I Love My City community outreach happening, or baptisms are taking place. But again, it's because we want to bring as many people on the journey as possible. So we want to give them the information on how to get plugged in church, what next steps you can take to get on this journey alongside us. And then we honor people. And then after crew, we thank people for coming out and connect and just continue to build relationships there on out.
Yeah, exactly. So our programming for crew, like Michelle said, is 90 minutes. So at the end of every crew, we would say, hey, crew is officially done, but no one has to leave. Just want to let you know that if you want to leave, you're definitely free to go. You were always free to go, right? But you know what I mean. Crew's over, but we could still hang. And people usually mingle. People usually hang, I would say, another 30 minutes or so. So our crews are Monday night, so at 7:30 to 9 p.m. And then we have Tuesday morning crews. We offer Tuesday morning crews at 7 a.m. and then 9 a.m. And then we have crews on Tuesday night now, a 7:30 crew. All of our night crews are always at 7:30, and our morning crews are at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. So for us, we do Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday night. We don't have anything on Wednesday, because Wednesday, as a church, we do team night. So we don't want to make those things conflict with one another. And then on Thursdays, we have Thursday morning, Thursday night. Friday, we have Friday morning and Friday night. And that's kind of new for us. We haven't really done that in the past. We just really started with the morning crews recently, and it's been working out, especially with so many young professionals being able to go to crew in the morning before work, or maybe people that manage their own work schedules. We have a lot of entrepreneurs or creatives and different people that it might be harder for them to do something at night because maybe they're working on some sort of assignment, but they could do a crew at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. They attend those crews. So why don't you put your hands together for this team? Come on. Good job. So really, this space is, we're hoping that we're providing at least something that's resourceful for you, but definitely the intention of this space too is to open it up to questions. We want to have a conversation with you, so we still have plenty of time to be able to do that. So that's what I want to do now. Anyone who feels comfortable and has a question, maybe something that you've been wanting to ask pertaining to small groups, something you've been wondering that we can be a resource to you for, we'd love to answer that. Even if it's just about VOUS Church in general, if it's not pertaining to small groups, but you have a question in general, we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. So does anybody at this point have questions? Yeah, in the back there.
I just have a question on page 26. It says the team should swap, evaluate strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So on page 26, talks about how a team should SWOT. And for us, evaluation is something that we take very seriously because one of our staff values is to make it better. So we're always celebrating, but after we celebrate, we're looking ahead, right? So even right now, 2019 VOUS Conference, we're in the moment, we're loving it, but we're already, okay, next year we're at the Watsco, and this is what we have to do different, or this space needs to look different. Like I walked in this space, and I said, next year this space is gonna look different, and I'm gonna put it on my SWOT, because I'm thinking about 2020. So all of our servant leaders, all of our teams, all of our crew leaders, we teach them how to SWAT, and then we kind of culturally just create this expectation that we're always swatting after gatherings. So a SWAT would be a strength. So what was strong about what you were a part of, whether that was a team night or whether that was a crew night or that was you serving on the welcome team on Sunday? What are some strengths that you saw? Weaknesses, what are some areas of opportunities that you saw? Opportunities would be like, what can we improve for the next time? And then threats are kind of things that are like outside of your control. So a threat, good example. A threat is that it's a 7-minute walk from the Watsco to here and that it could rain. That's a threat that is outside of my control. However, now that I know that that's a real threat for the future for 2020, I have to build a plan in my mind now how to get 1,500 people from there to here if it were to thunderstorm at that time. Does that make sense? So SWAT is something that we're always talking about. We turn in every week, and we're always asking crew coaches, crew captains, and crew leaders to think that way about their night. So Michelle and I, on the drive home from our crew, will say, all right, what did we do good today? What did we not do so good? What can we do better next time? And then like, what was a threat? Oh, the restaurant was playing the music too loud. Is that in my control or not in my control? How can I fix that? I hope that helps. Other questions? Yes, sir.
First off, happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yeah, you're the first person to tell me that. Thank you.
The second is kind of a two-part question, whether it be on all three levels, but so leaders, co-leaders, attendance or dedication to being, a servant leader, participating in being a crew co-leader or leader or whatever. How do you overcome that attrition? Right? And then the second question is, how do you overcome the attrition of people coming to crews? Maybe some of the people aren't Christians. Sure. They're just coming in fresh and they're learning. How do you overcome the attrition on both sides?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not like really.
Yeah. So the first question was the leaders, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what we've really discovered pretty quickly is that every season, I go into the season and initially I'm like, man, like this is gonna be the best season. Mm-hmm. All these people are dedicated, and at the end of the season, if they drop, it doesn't mean that they're not dedicated. But I'm like, we're not gonna lose any. But what we've quickly realized is that every single season, people are gonna drop. It could be for a number of reasons, a lot of very valid reasons, work, school, moving. And so what we've really decided to do is we've started to keep data on this. Mm-hmm. So we can look like, okay, season 1, 2019, we lost 10% of our leaders. Season 2, what is that going to look like? Well, if we're adding new crew leaders, there's a strong chance that could get a little bit bigger. And so every season, we put together a big list of all of our co-leaders. So one of the things that we do, and we just finished doing this last week, was we sent out a building block form to all of our leaders saying, hey, we want to know who your co-leaders are, your calculators, your cultivators. What that's also going to ask is, are they ready to lead the following season? If they say yes, and just so everybody knows, we don't just pick leaders. We always ask for the opinions of their crew leaders. Is this person ready? Because a lot of times they know a lot of things that we don't know about these people. And especially as we grow, these are kind of the things that we're trying to do to, again, continue that culture that we've developed as we get bigger. And so we'll get that list back. We'll start developing a big list of season. So right now, season 3 leaders. So we have a big list already. And so as leaders start telling us, hey, I can't lead next season, the first thing that we want to do is, if Adrian and I are leading the men's crew and Adrian or myself can't lead, the idea is that our co-lead is going to step up and take that. Sometimes that doesn't happen, so we're always trying to go through that list and see who can fill that slot. Now, regards to like crew attendance, one of the things that we've noticed too is that the more intentional you are, the more that you value the people, the more the people are going to want to come back. And I know it's so cliche, but people really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Like they really want to feel valued as they come to crew. One of the things that we tell them is like, or our crew leaders, is that if you're going to text a person day of crew and like say, hey, we have crew tonight, give them 2 weeks and you're probably not going to see them again, because they're not just a number. Like, these are people. And I just believe so much that we're called to steward them. And so we talk to our leaders a lot just about the off weeks, following up, staying engaged. I'm always texting guys in my crew just saying, hey, how you doing? I want you to know I love you. I'm praying for you this week. And so it really just develops that culture. Now, sure, there is a lot of times when, crews start to get smaller, and those are individual conversations that we, begin to have with our crew leaders. Some of the ways that we get people into crew, I think the first way is through personal invitations. What I've discovered so much is that people are wanting to come to crew, and people will come to crew. They just want to invite, not because they can't get there themselves or they don't know where to go, but they just want a connection at crew when they get there. In order to go to a crew, you don't have to sign up. You can just go. And so we'll have conversations with our leaders. We'll ask them, hey, are you inviting people? Who's your building blocks? Are they inviting people? Do you have your invite list? Can I see your invite list? Some of the other things that we do is, again, Sundays, people sign up on Connect cards. That's ways we funnel people into crew. Social media is a big way that we funnel people into crew. But we're always, for us, it's those individual conversations with specific crew leaders on getting more to the root of what's going on. Obviously, a lot, some people are more gatherers than others, but we're always trying to encourage our leaders to, invite people. We all have access to people on Sundays in the courtyard, and so biggest way we're trying to get people in the crew is inviting them.
Yeah, and in terms of, I think, maybe stewardship of like people, so volunteers, and then you're also crew leaders. I don't know if that was kind of like the heart of a part of the question too. We never did that before. So people were burning out and people were falling through the cracks like crazy. And we're like, what's going on? Why are people burning out? So what we just started doing was actually like a tier system at our church for leaders. So a tier 3 leader would be somebody who is at this level in our church. A tier 2 leader is this level in our church. A tier 1 leader is this level in our church. So tier 1 can do X amount of things at once. Tier 2 can do X amount of things at once. Tier 3 can only do this. Does that make sense? So a crew captain, right, is a volunteer role. That's a tier 3 role. So a crew captain cannot be a team leader. Number 1, for their health, but number 2, for the health of what they're over, right? So we never did that before, but in order to prevent all the attrition, that's something that we started doing too. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have measurables for like helping know when a co-leader is ready to become a leader who don't self-identify, but you can see them? What are those measurables?
Yeah, so we don't have it necessarily like it's not there's not like an evaluation or a ranking. There's not an objective measurable. It's a subjective measurable. But it would be that they've led X amount of discussions. They've been in crew X amount of time. For us at church, what we're looking for people who are on team, who've graduated from the growth track, who attend Sunday at least twice a month, and who are faithful attenders of a small group. So if you were doing that and you're my co-lead and now you've led discussion for 2 seasons, I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I think you're ready, brother. Like, let's figure this out. Or what do you feel like you need in this next season in order to prepare you for the one after? Does that make sense? Yeah. Other questions?
Yes, sir. I was just wondering, how do you guys run Growth Track at Boot Church? Yeah.
Okay. So Growth Track, we Pastor Mike Todd just said how he ripped Pastor Stephen Furtick's message. We ripped Growth Track from Church of the Highlands. So we just exactly what they did. Yeah, exactly. They do it the best, so in my opinion. So that's what we do. But Growth Track is on Sunday, and we offer it 2 different sessions at one of our locations and 1 session at the other location. It's an hour, and it's 4 steps. You don't have to go in order. But if you go in order, it's great. It's step 1, it's about knowing God. Step 2, finding freedom. Step 3, discovering purpose. Step 4, making a difference. So step 1 is all Bible, Jesus, salvation. Step 2 is about connecting with the ministries of our church. We talk about what we believe, why we believe it. Step 3 is discover. It's about you. So you take a personality assessment, spiritual gift assessment, and then that's given to you. And then step 4 is making a difference. So the way that we do that, we feel, is to serve other people. So we provide a space for you to meet with our different teams and join team in that step 4.
Do you guys run Growth Track every month?
Yeah, every Sunday. Yeah, every Sunday. The only time that we wouldn't is if there's 5 Sundays in a month. So for example, I think in June or July, there's a 5th Sunday. So we'd go step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th Sunday, we'd take off. But we try to take advantage of that Sunday. Not take advantage, but you know what I mean, right? So yeah, do something with it.
We'd have like crew coaching on a Sunday like that.
Right. We do a crew coaching 2.0, or we do a growth track training. So like for the team leaders, we do some sort of training on that Sunday because they're used to gathering at that time anyway. So if you're already going to commit that time, let's make it beneficial for you.
Yeah.
2 questions. First, do you use a document to structure the discussion of the sermon for your groups? And then I see immediately after crew, you submit your crew report. Can you talk about what that looks like?
Yeah, so our crew report, so we have access to a church community builder, so we can do that online, or we've got through the app, it's called the Lead app, and basically we would give our calculators access to go into our group, so like Adrian and Michelle's crew, so by, I'd say like 9-10 p.m., so our crew ends at 9 p.m., they would have already entered into that app, and it'll ask you, it'll show people who are in our process queue. So those are people who have been consistently coming to crew, and you just check off people as we go. We would input everyone's prayer requests, and we would input their praise reports. We'd talk a little bit about how the night went. So we'd say, you know what, Lauren led the icebreaker, and Adrian led the welcome. Michelle did the discussion, and we'd say a little bit about how that went. We might put the SWOT in there as well. And then we'd put some, not important notes, but.
Yeah, like if there's like a pastoral care need or something that comes up that was.
We'd make notes for that, just so that when those reports do come in, we can make sure that we've got someone from our leadership team reaching out to people about that, and we'd submit that. Yeah,
and there is a template, so every crew leader would get a template that kind of looks like this. So our communications team, they do all the writing at our church, so they would listen to the Sunday sermon, and then our blog team would write a blog on it, our communications team would write a crew outline on it.
Yeah, and
so
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No?
That we post our crew discussion, so it's available to everyone. You guys can even access it yourselves. So we tell everyone at crew that they can go to vuchurch.com/crew, and they can pull it up on their phones. So our design team has done a great job of doing that and making it accessible for everyone.
Right. And the crew discussion, it would have a introduction. So, hey, we're talking about check your circle. Pastor Rich preached check your circle a couple Sundays ago. Check your circle, the Bible verse, an intro to what check your circle is all about, and then 2 to 3 points, and each point would have a question associated to it, and then a summary, and then that's it. So it'd be a 1-page document that would help guide you in that discussion.
And when do you guys usually put that on the website?
Yeah, so we'll usually send it the Thursday before crew. So we'll start crew this Monday, and we'll send it, or we would have sent it yesterday. And then the vuchurch.com/crew one would get updated just as quickly.
You had a question, sir?
I do. I want a 2-year-old church planter, and I kind of want to know how wide do you cast your net when it comes to leaders, and kind of help me out with that, because I truly want to know so that way we can cast as wide a net as possible without compromising integrity.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that question. I appreciate you being transparent with that, and I think you guys are in the right place. So you guys are going to keep going in the direction that you're going, and it's going to be good. And I'm really believing for you. I think it'd be cool if we connect after this. I'd love to hear more about you.
I would love to talk again. So I'm here because of you.
No way. What's your name?
I'm Drew Wynn.
Oh, what's up, Drew? Yeah, we have talked on the phone. It's awesome. Wow, that's cool. We don't have that figured out. So if we...
I'm not alone.
Right, yeah, come on, put your hands together if you're in the same boat. We don't have that figured out. And if we did, it would be awesome, and I'd package it and sell it. No, but we don't have that figured out. We try to cast a wide net because all of us are on the journey for sure. We try to cast a wide net because Miami is very unchurched, because unfortunately there's a pretty bad narrative down here on what it means to be a Christian or what it means to be part of a church. That's true probably everywhere, right? But just
I'm from Bible Belt, Middle Georgia.
Yeah.
We're trying our best to change the narrative.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So I think like every area's got unique things that you're going through. So we try to cast a wide net in the sense that here's what we're always very clear on. Jesus is our message. People are our heart. You don't have to believe to belong. You don't have to behave to belong. You belong here. That's what we say always. But we do have convictions in terms of who we allow to pastor people and lead people. So for us, Cru, like VOUS Church doesn't have, until now, really, until like this last season, we didn't have a pastoral care team. We didn't have people that were just focused on pastoral care. So the pastoral care of VOUS Church were our Cru leaders because they're the ones that are in other people's lives and really figuring out what's going on in people's lives and speaking into situations in people's lives. So we take that very seriously. So we have questions all the time about who can lead and why they can or why they can't. And for us, it's never a blank statement. We don't allow this and we do allow this. It's always a conversation. So, hey, where are you on the journey? Let's talk about it. Let's figure this out. Do you think it's in the best interest right now? Yes or not? Why? And that's kind of where we're at. Does that help? But we could talk more about it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, off of that, what do you guys? How often do you see a Cru leader that you thought was ready, took the risk, put them in the position, and then they fall in?
Yeah.
And what do you do? How do you guys handle mistakes and failure and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it happens. You know, I guess we'd probably be lying if we didn't say it happens. Again, what Adrian says is, or not what Adrian said, but what Adrian just said is it's always a conversation. And so I think being a new church, it kind of helps us in seeing maybe some of the blind spots that we didn't identify. I think what we try to really do a good job of, again, is talking to their Cru leaders beforehand. We're never gonna say, hey, this person's gonna lead, and we're not gonna ask their Cru leader for their opinion, for their write-off, whatever. We're always having conversations with the Cru leader. Tell me a little bit more about this person. Tell me a little bit about the journey this person's on. How often are they coming to Cru? Are they a co-leader? And this gives us a lot of information, whether or not we realize it. And so if things happen, if they vomit, I like that terminology. I'm going to start using it. Yes, we have conversations around it. Again, we have convictions. There's things that that we stand on. But we're always having good conversations with those Cru leaders. Just again, where are you in the journey? Tell us a little bit more about this. We never want to come across as like you're bad. You don't have the ability to lead anymore. And we're never going to tell a leader, you can't lead anymore because of X, Y, and Z that just happened. And so I think those are kind of the things in the way that we would approach it. But again, I guess every approach is unique just because every person is unique. And so, yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, like every season, there's people that you pick to lead and that they struggle every single season. And so the way that we know that is we keep really clear data on what people are doing in terms of attendance, not because we're counting people, but because people count. So we want to make sure that like we want to pay attention to that, but it also helps us understand who we need to have combos with. So every single season, you're going to see people that you expect that are going to start really high and then they don't start high. What we've found for the most part is that they're just not running the play. So like we are very simplistic, back to the basics, run the play. This is what we do. This is how we do Cru. This is how everybody should do Cru. Why? Because it's proven, it's tried, it's successful. So if somebody's having 4 or 5 people in Cru, it's awesome, but we're gonna have a combo around, did you send your invites? When did you send them out? How did you send them out? Do you have building blocks? What are your building blocks doing for you? All these different questions, and what you end up finding out is that there's gaps. So the attendance is a reflection of the gaps. And then also you said, how do we support it? We support it with the layers of leadership. So that's why Cru coaches exist. That's why Cru captains exist. It's like, hey, I'm struggling. I'm having a rough time getting people here. All right, we're gonna dispatch our coaches to go and support you in your Cru and in this season. Right next to you, had a hand up? Yeah.
So as far as when you're choosing leaders to help run things, how do you like, what is it that you look for in that person? Like, are you looking for passion? Do they need to be enthusiastic, or does it kind of like vary depending on the person? Like, do you guys have like a set thing that you guys use in order to pick those people?
So you're talking about like building blocks? Like, how do we know to find like who's going to be our co-lead, cultivator, calculator?
Like, how do you like when you visit somewhere? I don't know if you like pick those people from other crews to create their own crews, or how would it work?
I think it's a combination of things. I think, speaking from Adrian and I's experience within our own crew, it's never that we've like just had one person in mind. I think we've just kind of used our discernment to like build relationships with people, and then you find out that like people are just willing and people are able and people just want to take their participation in crew to the next level. And it's really just starts by having a conversation and like seeing the potential in someone. If they're speaking up in crew, or they're asking, how can I get more involved, or how can I potentially lead my own crew? I love when we get questions like that and we're like, hey, if you want to one day lead your own crew, like start here, you know, start with the small stuff. If it's bring in an icebreaker, you're going to crush that icebreaker, you know, or being a calculator, or being a co-leader and potentially leading a discussion one day. I think it's just making yourself available, you know, and I think that's what we're looking for, and everyone's got the potential in them, you know, and it's just a matter of empowering people and seeing that in them, speaking that kind of life into them, and then you're going from there. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, so like the ability is important because like, yeah, discussion, but availability I think for us would be more important. So like I didn't know what was in me until Pastor Rich called it out of me. So there's guys in my crew that are timid to lead a discussion, and I'm like, all right, homie, next week you're leading a discussion. And I'm calling it because I see it. So I'm calling it out of him and giving him the space to fail, the space to mess up, but then now a space where people love them and where it's a free space, it's a judge-free space, and we're gonna encourage them. So that it's not like, hey, we're looking for this package. We're just looking for people who want to commit to the journey, right? So I know that doesn't really answer, but kind of answers. You had a question.
Not so much on how do you choose the leaders, but how do you choose the locations?
Cool, that's a good question. Yeah, these are always fun. I think we're pretty flexible.
The question was, how do we choose a location of where to have crew?
Yep. Yeah. I think we're pretty flexible. Like what we always tell leaders is like, it needs to be a place that has food. It's got to be a place that, you know, because a lot of times in Miami, people are coming straight from work after a long day. And so we want people to have the ability to eat, to hang out. We just think that fellowship happens so much naturally over food. So that's really the first thing. Probably the second biggest thing is noise level. I can't tell you how many times, you know, even Bree and I have thought we found an awesome location, and then we get there Thursday night and we didn't realize, but the music is blasted loud because it's karaoke night. And so we're always like having that conversation. Okay, you know, does it have food? Does it? What's the noise level? But then for geographically, we're looking at places that we don't have crews in. So maybe Hialeah, we don't have a ton of crews in. Maybe we have it on a Thursday night and a Monday night, but if we don't have it on a Friday night, we want to identify that is a place to launch a new crew. So we're going to look at our Hialeah crews. We're going to say, hey, you know, is there people in this crew on Monday or Thursday that could potentially launch a Thursday crew? We also go through our database and pull information on where there's a lot of people that are coming from church. So again, if we're seeing a lot of people coming from, let's just say, Aventura area coming to church and we only have one crew there, then that kind of gives us the opportunity to say, okay, we might need some more crews up in that space. And so that's kind of the way that we would, and I guess I answered it in two different ways, but that's kind of the way that we would look at it.
Do you like let them know that it's something that you're doing? Like you meet and then you 30 people, or it's just kind of
The venue?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we try to develop good relationships with each venue. We don't want to just be a place that you know, takes their space, and so we want to, you know, let them know that, hey, we're going to be meeting with 10, 15 people here, and we want you to know that we're going to, you know, bring business. We're not just here to take your space. And so we always encourage our crew leaders to, you know, to develop good relationships, you know, with the managers, with the restaurants that they're going into.
Awesome. All right. Well, it has been an hour, and okay, one more. Come on.
How do you take what you're learning from the crews and put it into action, especially
How do you take what you learn in Cru and put it into action? For us, Cru is about community. So Cru is an event, right, that VU Church is orchestrating for people to gather. But the intention behind it is for people to gather outside of just the events that we create. So we want to create a vessel, a space, a platform for people to gather, but the whole heartbeat behind it is to meet your friends that you want to do life with. So the application of Cru is now me and Kyle raising our kids together. Like the application of Cru is Michelle and I having a couple from our crew over for dinner. So the Cru department is a department that's going to kind of really inspect our leaders as to whether they're doing that or not. We're also looking at who goes to a Cru at our church that doesn't serve on a Sunday and encouraging them to serve. Who goes to Cru at our church that has not graduated from the growth track and encouraging them to do that. So those are easy reports that we're able to pull. And now if we're able to resource our crew leaders with that, say, hey, you've got 50% of your crew that doesn't go to the growth track. Maybe you should push the growth track this Sunday or the next time that you gather for crew and get people to participate in that. Does that help? Awesome. All right, well, why don't you put your hands together? Good job, everybody. So our breakout is officially over, but we're going to hang out if you guys have any questions. Our next session doesn't start till 7:30, so we love you guys.